So now that we've got over the shock of yesterday, and was it really a shock? We kind of knew it was coming, but the upside of it, Tottenham Hotspur are about to pay Celtic £5 million compensation to make sure that they get Ange Postecoglou. We're not even going to call him by his full name now, there's no point, is there? Let's look at some of the headlines. First of all, we need to sort of think about this. If you're of a certain age and you're a Celtic fan, you would have lived through the 1990s, which were, let's face it, an absolute... We were in a state and a half. We weren't winning anything. We let Rangers go to 9 in a row. We were a mess. We won very, very little. We got over that. We got over Wim Jansen leaving the day after he stopped 10 in a row. We got over John Barnes and Kenny Dalglish debacle. We got over then 2003. We got over losing in Seville to Jose Mourinho, who did work at Spurs also, and if someone of his talent can't turn around Spurs' fortune with his vast experience of European football and Champions League football, I don't know how Ange Postecoglou thinks he's going to manage to do it. But we also got over the fact that we lost the league on the last day of the season to a striker that then came to Celtic. We got over the fact that Brendan Rodgers walked out on us in the middle of going for 9 in a row, but we've still managed to go for 9 in a row, and we still won it, and we still won more trebles, and we've won trebles since then. So as Ange Postecoglou has left the building, we then now look forward, and the exciting thing about it is, well, we have to talk about the downside. He's probably going to come in for a few players. There's talk that he's going to come in for Kyogo. If he's going to give us 25 million for Kyogo, you know, the little guy will most likely go with him, because that's the way that they kind of work. They're very... Anyway, who cares? We're going to get 25 to 30 million for him. There was rumours last night that Jota could be on his radar. Whatever happens, we're going to get some cracking money. But the good side is, we did say... some of the names that are out there. Let's look at some of the Celtic headlines first of all. Ange, Tottenham, Brink, Aaron Moy keeps Celtic party going. Ange hasn't hung about. Celtic can't either, as Parkhead club must learn from departing boss mantra. We never stop. Celtic will go on. Let's see what other headlines. We're just going to, this morning's video, we're just going to look at some of the headlines that's coming out. There can be a few surprises in Ange Postecoglou's decision. Alistair Johnson ready for the reset. There's nothing else on his mind. Alistair Johnson's still going to be here. There's not going to be a dismantling of the team. We're in a much better position than what we were when Ange Postecoglou took over. And on that note, it's the fact that we'll go straight into the Champions League. Some of the bosses that have been mentioned, the number 2, I did ask, that I've got a mate who stays there in Manchester, and he's a big City fan. He owns a big business down in Manchester, and I asked him exactly what he thought of the number 2, and he said, yeah, he's really good. It'd be a good fit for you. So Pep Guardiola's number 2 has been mentioned. Also has David Moyes. Moyes has been linked with the job several times. I think it could be a time that Moyes comes home. Moyes has been that close to getting the job a few times. He was obviously in the shout for when Brendan Rodgers got the job. He was mentioned after Brendan Rodgers, but it didn't happen. Could it be time? West Ham are saying that they might not renew his contract, so it could be an easy fit, but we won't know until they obviously play in the Conference League final, which is a European competition, and he's got them to a final of a European competition. It is a lesser league than the, you know, but it's still, there's still teams in it that you fancied beating along the way. So we need a manager that is going to win in Europe. Let's face it, Ange Postecoglou's European adventure last year was a bit of an eye-opener. We did play some good football, but I think we need a manager now that's going to take us and get back to it being in the Champions League and putting in a good performance for ourselves. That's what we really need. Is the Man City number 2 that guy? He's got a wealth of experience. He's worked under Pep Guardiola. He did work himself. He didn't do too good, but you never know. Is Celtic going to come out again with something that's completely left field and shock us all? The fact that Spurs managed to get our manager, it is said that they're going to come in with 30 million. Everyone is now talking about 30 million. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, you'd be lucky if we were going to get 10, 15, 20 million for Kyogo, but now they're coming out and said that they're going to give us 30 million. There's quite a lot of headlines saying that. Another headline I'm looking at here: the grueling journey Celtic history saw Alistair Johnson play 73 games in 18 months across 4 continents. That's some journey that lad's having. They've got to remember as well, a lot of these players love Celtic, and you know, they'll only be sold if the club allows them to be sold. We've got a lot of players on long-term contracts. We did say during the season that the likes of Abada might go. Do you think that the boss will come in for him? The fact that he never given him a lot of game time. Will he come in for him? Will he come in for Jota? There's a big chance of coming in. Hatate is another one. Will he come in for Rio? His name is Rio, and he's not dancing down in London. It's all in Celtic's hands now. I don't think Celtic will make a decision quick. I think it will be Thursday, Friday before we hear anything out of Celtic. Now, obviously, they had the board meeting yesterday, and we now understand, when you seen the television, there was a lot of mates that were at the games, and we said right after the game, and when we seen the interview, we said in the pub, he's away, he's gone. You could tell his demeanour walking around the pitch. My mates were all WhatsApping saying, oh, don't burst my bubble, when you seen him on the pitch, he's going nowhere. And I'm saying, look guys, when you seen Desmond's face and Peter Lawwell's, when the camera moved to them, now you think back previous cup finals where Peter Lawwell has been absolutely over the moon, the fact that we've got the treble, and the two of them were standing there with their face tripping, because they knew before the game that Postecoglou was going to go down to London and speak to Spurs. What was the time scale? You know, I mean, ANGE has been very, very clever. The fact that we got the picture that was released a couple of weeks ago where the deal was done and he was offered more money than any Celtic manager. He was offered 30 million transfer budget. He was offered Barrowfield to get done up and made into a better venue than what it is. He was offered everything that he asked for, and he still wouldn't sign the deal, which is disappointing. And especially when he was running about slapping the badge and telling us that people will be surprised how long he's here. He talks a good game, but he's in the past, so we don't talk about it from now on. A bit like the grumpy Greek that we had before him that left. Should we call him the fat Greek or the fat Aussie? Anyway, it doesn't matter. He's in the past. What about the number 2 for Man City, Enzo? Would he be a good fit? Other names that are out there, Brendan Rodgers has kind of come out and said, would you take Brendan Rodgers has said that he doesn't really want to come back at this moment. I think we need to move on from people that we've had before. I think we need to get somebody fresh and new into the club. We need to get someone in that isn't all badge kissing and going to be bullshitting. Could that be David Moyes? It all comes back to David Moyes, because he's not that type of manager. He's not the badge kissing, I love you, I love you, I love you type thing. I don't know. Anyway, I better get ready for work because I've got work today. So, what can you say? What can you say? Tell me in the comments. What do you think about the next manager? Who do you think the next manager will be? It's all coming down to me. It's looking like David Moyes or the number 2 at Man City. But you know, Celtic, they could pull a rabbit out of the hat like they have done before. You don't know. You don't know. A few players will leave. You just don't know who's going to leave. You don't know what bids are going to come in. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the next day or so. And on that note, I'll call this video a wrap. I will do a video this evening. I said I was going to do one yesterday, but there wasn't really much more information came out than what was on the morning video, other than sort of he's going to come for Kyogo and stuff. But I think that we were all just in a bit of a shock yesterday, and some of the comments online and that was just... he done what he did, you know. At least he didn't do it during the season. He obviously knew for a good few weeks now that he wasn't going to sign the contract. He was waiting to see what was there. I think when you look at the bigger picture, he was pissed off with the Scottish media. You could see that he was that in media conferences when he used to sit and he's like, Jesus God, really, again? I think the way that the media questions him, and look, Ian Beale across the road is a lucky man. When was the last time that Rangers got any type of compensation for a manager that left them? They're all saying that he was running scared with a lot of medals in his bag, and Celtic have just bagged a £5 million compensation. Add that to the Champions League money, add that to money that's coming in for players this summer. We're on the road again.